American Handgunner Insider.
Hey folks, Tom McHale here, editor of American Handgunner magazine. We are here with a new video series called American Handgunner Insider. We're going to be taking a short, sweet, and to the point look at handguns, accessories, ammo, and anything and everything going on inside the handgun industry. So on today's episode, we are going to talk about 3D printing and holsters. Fad or future? Let's dive in and find out. So for those of you not familiar, 3D printing is basically just technology. It allows one-off production of an item. I've been using this on my books forever, not printing, but printing on demand. Somebody orders a copy, a magic printer in the sky prints a copy out and sends it to them right away. Well, 3D printing is pretty much the same thing. Using fancy machinery like you see here, you take a bucket full of polymer pellets or even powder sometimes, run it through this machine that is operated by a set of three-dimensional computer CAD-like drawings, and you print an object. We've probably all seen little cheap stuff made out of plastic printed this way. But the key point here is the technology can go much, much further than that, and we're still in its infancy in relative terms. So to explain what I mean by that, we're already starting to 3D print buildings and houses, and who knows what's next. You know, the sci-fi nuts out there are already talking about 3D printing being used to colonize asteroids and print space stations out of metal, which brings up a good point. You know, now it's plastic stuff, but we're already 3D printing metal things. So who knows what's going to happen with gun parts and even gun frames and things like that over time as the technology continues to improve. But what does that have to do with guns? Well, we're already seeing lots of stuff, mainly non-critical items like grips and accessories like you see here being 3D printed. You can even make stuff like this, you know, at home with designs you make yourself or download off the internet or what have you. Basically plastic and polymer things. But let's bring that back around to holsters. And the whole point, I think, of 3D printing in the holster market is to solve this challenge. Now, if you have a handgun with a light or a laser or some other accessory, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Try and find a holster. If you happen to have a common combination of gun, light, and laser, maybe you found one. But I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten over the years that say, hey, I have, you know, this type of gun and I have a Streamlight such and such, and, you know, it's got this on it. No, I need a left-handed holster. Do you know who makes one? Well, here's the problem. There are thousands of guns on the market. Lots of light companies, lots of laser companies. Some people make both. And all of those companies are basically continuing to release new and slightly changed models all the time to stay ahead of the market. So the sizes change, the dimensions change. It is physically impossible for holster companies to kind of keep up with all this. And if you do the math, we're really talking about millions of combinations out there. You just cannot produce expensive, you know, polymer molds or Kydex molds and stock warehouses full of every possible permutation of holster for a specific gun and accessory like a light and a laser. Enter 3D printing. Our friends over at Falco Holsters recently sent me something that they've been working on, and they'll tell you themselves this is early stage stuff. You know, they're starting to 3D print holsters. Now, this is a little different than, you know, what you might have seen printed on the home printer. They won't tell me what the material is in this, but I can tell you it is tough. I mean, this thing is exceptionally rigid. I think what I'm going to do, I've already talked to Eric Gelhaus, the editor of AmericanCop.com. You know, he's a former law enforcement guy. So if anybody can break stuff, it's Eric. He has agreed to run this through a class he's doing in the next couple of weeks. So on a future episode, I'll report back and see if he managed to break this thing. So keep in mind, the idea is, you know, you can basically, just by having a design, you know, in a computer file, you can print a quantity of one of whatever type of specific holster you need. But you can do some more interesting things too. I mean, if you want to, use a design that's got molded in belt loops for stability and not having to mess with loose parts like screws and stuff like that, go ahead and print it. Somebody wants a 1 3/4 inch belt version, great. Make a tweak to the plan and print that. No big deal. You also kind of get a lot of flexibility. A lot of holsters you see on the market are made out of multiple pieces, kind of because they have to be. If you look closely at the picture here, you'll kind of see in this 3D printed model, that's a little bit of the best of both worlds. On the outside there, on the left side as you're looking at it, you kind of see a solid piece of plastic, but then it splits into a two-piece design. No screws, no hinges, no attachments, but you get that split in the middle to allow retention adjustment. So just an example of some of the flexibility that you have when you start to 3D print something. So that's kind of the bottom line. We're starting to see that from Falco. They're real excited about it. We'll see where it goes. I know there's a couple of other holster makers out there doing the same thing. We'll bring you news on that as it comes out. But what I would like to know, do you see this as the future? 3D printed holsters and other gun accessories. Is it a fad or is it the future? Let me know your opinions in the comments and we will go from there. So if you want to see more of American Handgunner Insider, be sure and hit the like button and subscribe. We will see you next time. Thanks.
American Handgunner Insider.